Hello everyone, welcome to the Yissilmissil Productions channel. My name is Steven Yissil, and today we are here to continue our deep dive series into the Bermuda Triangle by Charles Berlitz. So, thank you for being here today. I plan to do this for about an hour. My name is Steven Yissil. So, we're going to be reading today Chapter 6. Before we get started, I want to thank everyone for being here, and I hope you all had a great 2 weeks, because I think that's about how long I was away for. I was busy the whole time, so if you look into my descriptions in any video at this point from the past year or so, there's links in the descriptions for all of my other platforms. And I just recently put everything up onto Odyssey.com, and Rumble finally got updated. I think I got 2 more videos to put up on Odyssey. Brighteon is all updated. And the only thing that's left is Yissilmissil Productions 2, which really, I don't need it right now, especially after not having any more interviews with Althouse. It's really not needed unless, somebody from his camp decides to try to do a digital attack on me. And that's a big thing that I'm looking at right now, is putting together a few new, I'm not going to be doing a ton of shows, but I am going to be doing deep dives. I am going to be doing one-on-one interviews with people. And I am going to look into these claims of the Matrix. And I've chosen not to talk about the Matrix since October, since Tom decided to cut me off. It's been a year, by the way. A year ago, on this day, I was in Tom Althouse's house. Ain't that cool? And I was there to film a documentary, and he wanted a book instead. And then before I left, he wanted 4 books. And then I heard he invited a writer to go make the documentary after I left. So there's a lot of very confusing things going on. I see you, Jay, and I see you, Jason. Good to see both of you here. Yeah, I'll be doing a separate video, possibly video series. Well, eventually a video series. But I'm going to be doing update videos on this Tom Althouse situation, because I need to address it. There's too much that's making me uneasy about his situation. And the things that I've discussed before on this channel, it's important. It's important for people to see what's going on, especially between guests and hosts, especially with the content that Tom is putting out there. It needs to be addressed. Yeah, so I don't know about Sophia Stewart here. I really would like to contact her. Now, I'm going to briefly talk about this for a few more minutes, and then we'll get into the Bermuda Triangle stuff. But I do want to give an update here. And actually, on Sundays, I'm thinking I will do a channel update live stream, just overall, so that I could do all the stuff I'm talking about here at the beginning, about Thursday's show here today with Bermuda Triangle, Saturday's show with the Chicago film industry, and then Tuesday's show with Coral Castle. I will be going into the American financial system. That's going to be a whole deep dive series in itself. We might start with Ron Paul's end of the Fed. We might start with the Rockefeller syndrome. But we will get through both of those, and we'll get through The Creature from Jekyll Island. I got all 3 of those books. I want to dissect those things. I want to get that information out to all of you so that you could go and use it for yourself later on. That's what I'm seeing this channel functioning as. Is you guys are coming here to, I mean, you want to see me, you want to hear what I'm talking about, who I have on my channel here. You guys enjoy my work, and I thank you for that. I am very knowledgeable on the film industry. There's a lot of things I'm not knowledgeable on with the film industry. But that's why we're here, we're doing this stuff. I really feel like I'm putting together like a school on this channel. I always say class dismissed at the end of every video. But it's very important. This is all learning material. And really, you're not going to get this stuff from these other channels that have 100,000 followers, 1 million followers, where they have the intros, they have the music, they have all the special effects, they have the green screen. I have a green screen too. I'm just not using it right now. There's no point for it. Like, I'm here, you guys see me, and that's that. I do want to upgrade to a different setup at some point, but like, this is me operating with almost like no, there's no monetary incentive here. Like, I'm doing this just from my passion of wanting to get this information out to you guys. And like, the whole reason why I got into interviewing Tom Althouse is because I studied the Matrix franchise like since 2002, 2003. I've seen that franchise well over 100 times. I could confidently say that. I'm so familiar with the Wachowskis' The Matrix script that I could tell you that page 12 is where Trinity is in the phone booth calling to Jack out of the Matrix, and the agents go and hit her with the garbage truck, or they hit the telephone booth. So there's a lot of that going on where, like, I know these pages of the Matrix script, and I've read the beginning of The Immortals. I'll just tell you right here, the first 12 pages do not match up to the film, The Matrix. There's no matchup in those first 12 pages. Now, Tom wouldn't like me saying that, but that's too bad, because you have to face all of this stuff objectively. Not, oh, Tom's my friend, I don't want to make him mad. No, I do this to investigate what... We're getting to the bottom of this stuff. I'm looking for truth in film and politics. Yeah, good luck with that one, Steve, with politics. So, that's where I'm at right now with this channel. I want to expand more on the Matrix franchise. I want to look into the other films that have inspired me to becoming a filmmaker. We're going to be covering Orson Welles with the Chicago Film Industry Deep Dive, just because it's kind of attached to that. That deep dive series, I do see going past 10 parts. Bermuda Triangle, we're definitely going to get past 10 parts. The Ed Leeds Skolnick series with Coral Castle, I really think will be... I'm going to have to get the other books. Yeah, there's 2 books that I wanted to read after we get through that pamphlet stuff with Coral Castle. But I also found a YouTube channel. I think it was called like Walking with Leeds Skolnick. Talking to Leeds Skolnick. So this guy has 3,000 subs. But he's looking into a lot of stuff. And he made a book. Maybe we should get his book. I was going to ask him to come onto the show here too. So this guy's like studying all of just everything that Ed was experimenting with the generator and using the numbers. And let's see here. I don't know his name. I'm sorry. But the YouTube channel is Talking to Leeds Skolnick. And you could see in the spelling, Lead, Leedskalnin. This guy was on Coast to Coast AM with George Norrie. And he was on about a week ago. So that's pretty cool. Coast to Coast AM, John B. Wells was on that program for a while. I used to listen to John B. Wells on his own show. And I did influence Tom Althouse to reconnect with John B. Wells because he did one show with him years ago. And then that show got scrubbed from some internal hack with John B. Wells' servers. But I found the phone number for John B. Wells. I gave it to Tom. Tom called him. John answered the phone on the first ring. Scheduled the show for, I want to say it was last year, March. And then he did a second one while I was at Tom's house in April with John B. Wells. It was an over the phone interview. And John and his wife, Brendy, offered to help fund the creation of Tom Althouse's book that Tom was assigning to me to write. After I showed up at his house with all my film equipment to film his documentary. And then he scrapped that idea. So he's always talking about filming a documentary. That never happens. And the reason it never happens is because he continually cuts off the help that he receives. John B. Wells was going to put out a GoFundMe for the book. If it was still a documentary, I'm sure John B. Wells would have said he will help to fund the documentary. I show up with $4 or $5 grand worth of equipment. I end up just filming the solar eclipse and the plane flyovers. It's just really... I put my good faith into Tom. After my visit with him, both Tom and Tom's mom said that I was like a brother to him. So what changed is my question, and I think I asked that before. But I really think the thing that changed was Penny L.A. Shepherd being caught in a lie. And she fled the house that she was living in for 6.5 years because she was caught in a lie. And after leaving that house, Penny Shepherd asked Tom if she could move in with him. And Tom's mom told him, no, don't do that. So good on you, Tom's mom. You saved him from yet another disaster. And now Penny L.A. Shepherd, she had hundreds of journals that she left at the house that she left. And it has all satanic writing in it. Isn't that funny? You think I'm just shooting the shit? No. No, this is... I got first-hand knowledge from this stuff. The person that owned the property that Penny was living on. And this Penny character, you could look her up. She's on Twitter. She's on YouTube. She's on Rumble. But she's no good. Very manipulative. Love bombing. Narcissist. And in fact, after I said that it's a narcissist, once I brought up the notion of narcissism to Tom, that's when he kind of tuned up. Okay, enough with all of that. We've gone 14 minutes, so we're going to spend the rest of this hour looking at Bermuda Triangle. So let's get into it, guys. But, yeah, one more time. I will be talking more about all this stuff because I did spend 2.5 years working on all of this. This was a lot of my time that I put in to trying to help Tom. But he refuses help, so what are we to do? Perpetual victim. That's what I say. But speaking of victims, we have plenty of victims here in the Bermuda Triangle of mysterious disappearances. People who've never come back. Dogs, parrots, ships, planes. So, I'll be more reflective on this as we finish up the book. But we are on chapter 6. And there's a lot. Yeah, there's a lot of photos here. This is a 20-page chapter. All right, so I guess what we'll do is we'll start chapter 6. We'll see how far we get. I'm not going to really tear myself up over this. This is 20 pages, chapter 6, Time, Space, Warps, and Other Worlds. There we go. Investigators of the Bermuda Triangle have long noted the existence of another mystery area in the world's oceans southeast of Japan. Sorry. All right, southeast of Japan. Let's continue. Between Japan and the Bonin Islands, specifically between Iwo Jima and Marcus Island, with a record and reputation indicative of special danger to ships and planes. Whether the ships have been lost from underwater volcanoes or sudden tidal waves, this area, often called the Devil's Sea, enjoys, at least officially, an even more sinister reputation than the Bermuda Triangle, and that the Japanese authorities have proclaimed it a danger zone. This action came about after an investigation carried out by Japanese surface craft in 1955. The Devil's Sea had long been dreaded by fishermen who believed it was inhabited by devils, demons, and monsters which seized the ships of the unwary. Aircraft and boats had disappeared in the area over a period of many years, but during the time when Japan was at peace, 9 modern ships disappeared in the period of 1950 to 1954, with crews totaling several hundred persons. Think about that for a minute. 9 modern ships with crews totaling several hundred people disappeared. In circumstances characteristic, extensive air-sea searches, lack of wreckage or oil slicks, of the happenings in the Bermuda Triangle. The Bermuda Triangle and the Devil's Sea share a striking coincidence. This is where it gets interesting. The Bermuda Triangle includes, almost at its western terminus, longitude 80 degrees west, a line where true north and magnetic north become aligned, with no compass variation to be calculated. And this same 80 degree west changes its designation when it passes the poles, becoming 150 degrees east. From the North Pole south, it continues on, passing east of Japan and crosses the middle of the Devil's Sea. At this point in the center of the Devil's Sea, a compass needle will also point to true north and magnetic north at the same time, just as it does at the western border of the Bermuda Triangle on the other side of the world. The unexplained losses in this Japanese equivalent of the Bermuda Triangle were instrumental in inspiring a government-sponsored investigation of the area, which took place in 1955. This expedition, with scientists taking data as their ship, the Kaio Maru No. 5, cruised the Devil's Sea, ended on a rather spectacular note. The survey ship suddenly vanished with its crew and the investigating scientists. The presence of one or more other areas of disappearance in the world's oceans has led to some unusual speculations. Theories concerning anti-gravity warps have been advanced, presupposing areas where the laws of gravity and normal magnetic attraction no longer function in ways which we are familiar. Let's read that again, because this goes along with Coral Castle stuff. Theories concerning anti-gravity warps have been advanced, presupposing areas where the laws of gravity and normal magnetic attraction no longer function in ways which we are familiar. Ralph Barker, author of Great Mysteries of the Air, noting that new developments in physics point to the evidence of the existence of anti-gravitational particles of matter, suggests that, quote, the presence of anti-gravitational or contraterrene matter of a nature completely contrary to those known on this planet, of appalling explosive character when it comes into proximity of matter as we know it, embedded in localized areas of the Earth, end quote. He offers the possibility that this matter may have arrived from space and become embedded under the Earth's crust, sometimes under the land, but more often under the sea. Consideration of this theory offers a possible explanation of electronic and magnetic malfunction within given areas, but would not, however, explain the many losses of ships and planes within sight of land. One remembers, in this connection, reports of other areas of magnetic anomaly over other bodies of water throughout the world, where the pull of something under the water is stronger than that of the North Magnetic Pole. A more detailed study of the Bermuda Triangle and other suspect areas was made by Ivan Sanderson and discussed in his article 12 Devil's Graveyards Around the World, written for Saga magazine. In plotting ship and plane disappearances throughout the world, Sanderson and his associates first found the majority of these mysterious losses occurred in 6 areas, all of them having more or less the same lozenge shape, and coincidentally located between latitudes 30 degrees and 40 degrees north and south of the equator, and including the Bermuda Triangle and the Double Sea. So there's a photo in this book here. It says 12 sections of the world, vortices of electromagnetic aberrations as suggested by the theory of Ivan Sanderson. The 2 areas not shown on this projection are at the poles. The area to the east of Japan corresponds to the Devil's Sea. The Japanese equivalent of the Bermuda Triangle. So this is very, very good information here. So as you can see, up here on this grid, you actually got 3 locations there. So to the left on the top is the Devil's Sea. And then you move 2 dots over, and there you see the United States and Bermuda Triangle. And you see how all of that's just lined up on top of each other? They're falling in the grid is what's more specific. Like this horizontal line, the 2 horizontal lines there. I think that's what's important to look at. I don't know how much we're going to read today. I really don't. Alright, but we'll keep going here. Developing his theory further, Ivan Sanderson established a network of 12 anomalies at 72-degree intervals around the world, centered more precisely at 36 degrees north and south latitude, making 5 in the northern hemisphere, 5 in the southern, and including the north and south poles. The reason for the Bermuda Triangle being the most celebrated, he suggests, is that it's the most traveled, while others, although located in less traveled areas, also give considerable evidence of magnetic time-space anomalies. The majority of these active areas lie due east of continental land masses where warm ocean currents going north collide with cold currents going south. In addition to this current collision, these areas also represent the nodal points where the surface ocean currents turn one way and the subsurface currents turn in another direction. The great subsurface tidal currents sweeping man, it's been a while since I said this. Tangentially, and influenced by different temperatures, set magnetic vortices affecting radio communication, magnetism, and perhaps even gravity, and eventually in special conditions causing air and surface craft to vanish, sailing or flying often to a different point in time and space. An interesting sidelight on the erratic behavior of these areas is underlined by Sanderson in describing the astonishing early arrivals of carefully clocked-in air flights where planes have arrived so far ahead of schedule that the only possible explanation would be that they had a tailwind behind them blowing, for example, at 500 miles per hour. Such incidents... Man, I'm sorry. My reading's really breaking down today. I apologize for that. Such incidents may be the result of unrecorded winds, but they may seem to occur most frequently within the Bermuda Triangle and other vortex areas, as if these particular planes had encountered the anomaly but had skirted or been propelled safely through the hole in the sky that had cost so many travelers their lives. An incident involving time-lapse occurred at the Miami airport about 5 years ago, which has never been satisfactorily explained. It concerned a National Airlines 727 passenger plane, which on approach to landing from the northeast and being tracked on radar by the Air Control Center, suddenly disappeared from the radar screen for about 10 minutes and then reappeared. The plane landed without incident, and the pilot and crew evinced some surprise. The plane landed without incident, and the pilot and crew evinced some surprise over the expressed concern of the ground crew, since as far as the crew was concerned, nothing unusual had happened. By way of an explanation, one of the air control staff said to one of the pilots, quote, "Man, for 10 minutes, you just did not exist," end quote. It was at this point that the crew checked their watches and the various time indicators in the plane and discovered that they were uniformly 10 minutes slow, according to real time. This was especially remarkable as the plane had made a routine time check 20 minutes before the incident, and at that time, there was no time discrepancy. I think that's very important to read and contemplate. That actually reminds me of an episode of the TV series Lost, where they're trying to time a balloon that's coming into the island, and there's a time delay on that. All right. That's some real stuff. 10 minute time delay, they disappeared, they weren't even on the radar. All right. Noting that our planet operates on electromagnetism, Ivan Anderson poses a question as to whether the Bermuda Triangle and certain other areas functioning as, quote, vast machines generate still another kind of anomaly. Could they create vortices in and out of which material objects can drop into or out of other space-time continua? End quote. For besides the many disappearances that have taken place, a vastly greater number of appearances have occurred in recent years and over the centuries throughout the world and seem to continue to occur despite official denials and the fact that they are logically, quote, impossible, end quote. No investigator of events in the Bermuda Triangle can avoid confronting reports of UFOs, unidentified flying objects. UFOs have been the subject of thousands of reports and investigations in the United States since the first flurry of peacetime sightings in 1947. And throughout the world, thousands of other sightings have been reported. 10,000 in 1966 alone. Why is this subject taboo if there's 10,000 accounts in 1966? This should not even be a fringe topic at this point. Which is probably why I'm allowed to stream this. But 10,000 sightings reported in 1966. Many millions have been, or many millions of people have allegedly seen UFOs in the United States and other countries. They have been reported and described by scientifically competent observers. In the words of Dr. J. Allen Hynek, former Air Force consultant on UFOs, quote, "The intelligence of the observers and reporters of UFOs is certainly at least average, in many cases above average, in some cases embarrassingly above average," unquote. That's what they're really like setting the bar low, huh? Alright, continuing on. They have been photographed with varying degrees of clarity. They have been observed to accompany planes, occasionally interfering with and destroying them, and they have sometimes appeared in considerable numbers over such world capitals as Washington and Rome. United States government, Air Force, and Navy releases have attributed most of the sightings to the moon, lunar halo, comets, mirages, balloons, bright stars, meteors, the planets, especially Venus, test aircraft, contrails, different from chemtrails, searchlights, the northern lights, fireballs, fireworks, autokinesis, when an object that is stared at, or when an object that is stared at seems to move. Autokinesis. Oh, all right. After mirage, when an object that has been stared at fades so slowly from one's vision that it can still be seen elsewhere. That's like a retina burn. So these are all explanations for what it could be other than... Like, there's no explanation of what's going on, but these are the things that they're saying it could be. Will-o' the wisps Oh, man. I didn't think we'd be touching that topic this soon. Hoaxes or mass delusion. However, UFO reports continue to come in, and several large UFO associations and the proliferation of books on the subject keep the question very much alive. I'm going to comment on this Willow of the Wisps. I've heard about it. I've heard stories about it. I want to say that it's a phenomenon where people can hear like whispering voices in the wind, and it's only in certain areas. Alright, continuing on. Whatever they are, it seems certain that they are not secret weapons belonging to the powers of the Earth. Each side in World War II thought the luminous Foo Fighters, which hovered around their fighting planes, to be secret weapons of their opponents. Since, as has been trenchantly, you kidding me? I'm learning new words while I read this, and you should be reading and finding new words that you haven't heard before or haven't read in a long time, like I am. Trenchantly. Okay. Since, as has been trenchantly observed, if the UFOs were secret weapons, the Russians could not keep silent through pride of invention, nor could the Americans, if they had invented them, keep it out of their own press. It is interesting to note that although the United States Air Force position remains that UFOs cannot be explained and therefore do not exist, Air Force Regulation AFR 87... Hold on a minute. I'm going to reread that. It is interesting to note that although the United States Air Force position remains that UFOs cannot be explained and therefore do not exist. Are you kidding me? Air Force Regulation AFR 80-17 gave detailed instructions to pilots as to what steps to take when a UFO is sighted. I guess they do exist then, huh? Alright. Many of the AFR 80-17 provisions are a credit to the investigative perspective of the Air Force as well as to the persistence of the UFOs, so often discredited in official reports. The objectives as stated in the regulations are, quote, to determine if the UFO is a possible threat to the United States and to use the scientific or technical data to gain for... Okay, hold on. I'm going to reread the quote. Quote, to determine if the UFO is a possible threat to the United States and to use the scientific or technical data gained from study of UFO reports. End quote. While the regulation reassuringly states, quote, the majority of the UFOs reported to the Air Force have been conventional or familiar objects which present no threat to our security. End quote. It adds, quote, it is possible that foreign countries may develop flying vehicles for revolutionary configuration or propulsion, end quote. There is something of a paradox, however, in the statement that, quote, frequently some alleged UFOs are determined to be aircraft, end quote. Closely followed by, quote, except as aircraft are determined to be the stimulus for the UFO report, aircraft are not to be reported under the provisions of this regulation, end quote. Since the viewer who might report an odd-looking object could not know whether it was an aircraft or not, especially as it would be operating in the air, the regulation further provides that, quote, each commander of an Air Force base will provide a UFO investigative capability. When notice of a UFO sighting is received, an investigation will be implemented to determine the stimulus for the sighting. Oh man, we're coming up on a bunch of pictures. So this is going to be the picture show chapter here. And I'll tell you right now, from OBS, it's telling me that there is one concurrent viewer on my 2,044 subscriber channel, with 13 unique viewers total over the course of the past 40 minutes. Am I shadow banned? You guess. You go and guess. I've been doing this for the past 3 months, doing deep dives. And it was very consistent up until a few weeks ago. And still nothing. I get like sub 100 views on 95% of my uploads now. All right, but I'll get back into this here. So we're gonna read page 96, and then we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 photos to show. And I'm thinking after that, we can break, and that might be it for this part. So we're gonna divide this chapter into two. I'm not doing 30 pages of reading today. Sorry. It's just the way it is. We gotta absorb this information. Can't just like speed read this shit. And sorry for cussing. I'm trying not to cuss that much. It's neither here nor there, though. Okay. Continuing on. The greater part of AFR 8017 is concerned with the chain of command for reporting and investigating UFOs and instructions for processing the photographs taken of such objects. Included in the regulation, there are also instructions concerning information a base commander may impart to the local press when queried about UFOs seen in the area. Quote, in response to local inquiries regarding UFOs reported in the vicinity of an Air Force base, the base commander may release information on the news media or the public after the sighting has been positively identified. If the stimulus for the sighting is difficult to identify at the base level, the commander may state that the sighting is under investigation and conclusions will be released by SAF-OI after the investigation is completed. The commander may also state that the Air Force will review and analyze the results of the investigation. Any further inquiries will be directed to SAF-OI or something else. Okay, sorry. I'm jumping lines here. Translated into civilian idiom, this might read, quote, if it is not a plane or something else you can explain, tell them to wait. And meantime, don't get out on a limb. End quote. Oh. So the page I'm reading from now is the middle of the book. Kind of cool. Yeah, Jay, yeah, the worst case of channel banning ever. 2,044 subs. 2,044 subs. It says I have one concurrent viewer. Thank you, Jay. You are my number one fan. You're here all the time. And you see, there's not like hundreds of other commenters here. There's not people watching this like that. Are you kidding me? Like, it's not like I'm bashing on my own content here. This is good content. All right, so I got like 2 paragraphs on the one page at the halfway point, and then we got 15 images. So we're just going to look through those. And they have all captions with them too. But yeah, Jay, I'm gonna address you here again real quick. These are my live numbers. I have 2 concurrent viewers. Yeah. Yeah, it's just that's the way this is. Like, I have more reach. Should I say? I got more reach on Brighteon the Health Rangers video platform. If you guys look into the Health Ranger, he actually just did a study on particulates that fell out of the sky in a sludge that Dr. Jane Ruby sent in to get analyzed by the Health Ranger, and they found a whole bunch of aluminum in it. And this was in Florida. So whatever I think it was like the goop. There was like goop that fell out of the sky, like dropping like glue. And so Dr. Jane Ruby collected a sample of it and sent it out to the Health Ranger, and they studied it. They just released like the findings yesterday. So that's how recent that is. Yeah, this thing is really interesting, Jay. Like Bermuda Triangle. This is it's definitely a thing. And it's not, I don't see that many like channels talking about this. Like, I really would like to see what the like past historical records say about that area, but it says up until like 1944 is when it got very prominent. And before that, there was like nothing. But then we look into the early chapters of this book, and we had like the 1800s, these ships that just disappeared, or they saw like lights in the sky, like all these different things. Just fascinating. All right, so we have 15 photos to look at, and we're going to look at them all now. So the first one says here, the deep submersible Illuminaut, resting on the ocean bottom near Bimini in the Bahamas, has a design depth capacity of 15,000 feet. By the way, the diving submarine that went to look at the Titanic, that the news had said it imploded, they found, imagine saying that a car imploded, okay? Let's just say a car imploded. But then you find the bumper and like a piece of, or like a whole section, the whole door off the hinge, but like no dents, no glass broken or anything. They found huge side panels of this submersible that apparently imploded looking at the Titanic with the little controller. They were like guiding themselves through the water with whatever that was. That, I think, could have been an explosion. But we'll look more into that when we when we go and talk about the Titanic. Oh man, I'm going into all of this stuff. We're gonna look at all these ships that disappeared, the ones that have been bombed by other countries, the ones that have like sank to the bottom of the. We're gonna look at all this stuff, and so that's why this is a very good jumping off point for all of this. Oh, Jay coming in with the super chat. $10. Thank you, Jay. You know, I love doing this. And I would do 4-hour streams every day. But I have other obligations. But I will continue to do this stuff. Like, I got a lot of projects I want to do. I want to cover the Titanic. I want to cover the Lusitania. I have all of these books on shipwrecks. Beyond this, I got a bunch of shipwreck books. I really would like to go into there and enjoy all of this content with you. Because this is history here. Like, I got history sitting around me and on these shelves in my room in this library here. And I need to get all this information out to you guys. And this includes like making of for films. Like, I got books on making of a lot of different films. So like, we'll get into all that eventually. I'm trying to like slowly ramp this up. If I could have one show a day, that'd be amazing. A different show for every day of the week. But for now, we're doing Tuesdays and Thursdays and Saturdays. And I want to do a general show on Sunday where I can just talk to you guys about so like just a freeform show. I just want to give an update on what I'm doing here, like behind the scenes, uploading everything, taking time to do all that. Yeah, so Jay, yeah, I'll address you here again with that the Titanic submersible story. Yeah, I recently I was looking into that yesterday because it was brought to my attention that they found the panels of the submersible. Like full okay, I'm going like this because the piece that they found was in the shape of like that, like a C. But it's long, like it was the outer shell of the thing. So if it imploded, like they said, we would have found crumpled metal down there, not what looks like separation from rivets, because that's really what it looks like to me. And I didn't even consider. Oh, and also, talk about fake stuff. If you guys remember, about 4 years ago, the U.S. Air Force plane in the Middle East with all the people on the runway running next to it. And it was a muted video, by the way. I wonder if I have the photo here. But they did a side-by-side. Yes, I have it. All right, I'm just going to show that. So we're going to, like, get into all of this stuff, too, on different topics. But, like, I'm trying to wrap this all together here as best as I can. What am I trying to show? I got a photo. Okay. I'm just going to import the photo. So, apparently when we fled one of these occupied countries... Yeah, there it is. Look at that. This is what was in the video. Here, we'll do this. So this is the actual plane. And then up above, on the top, is the inflatable. And I didn't even think about doing a comparison like this person did. But just the reflections on the window alone, easy to see that it was duped. The proportions are all off. So think about this. The top photo, possibly, is a hollow balloon like a blimp. With a vehicle on the ground with wheels so that it could move forward. The video that this comes from this top part, it has no sound, and all of these people are right next to the engines. And the size comparison too is just unreal. Like this looks so much bigger than what this is. But if it's a fake, it's a fake. It's 1109. Just constant reminders. You know, the numerology in this world just keeps on putting this stuff out. Like, look at this. Look at 11. Look at 11. Look at 11. Yeah, eventually we'll talk about the 11 stuff too. So there's symbology in film from the Freemasons. And a lot of that is the duality of the one trying to become two and one, whatever, like the people trying to be both male and female. That's demonic stuff. But as far as like all of this like numerology stuff, like you get like 1109. All right, enough of this. We got to get back out of the Bermuda Triangle. So basically, Bermuda Triangle, we have these submersible objects here, and that people are going in and trying to explore the bottom of the ocean with. And let's see. Come on, come on, come on. So I'll read this description again. I'll show you the photo of the submarine here. So the deep submersible Illuminaut, resting on the ocean bottom near Bimini in the Bahamas, has a design depth capacity of 15,000 feet. The 51-foot aluminum-hulled vessel has taken part in research and salvage operations in many parts of the world. The Illuminaut can carry 7 men, more than 3 tons of scientific equipment, stay submerged for up to 3 days, and has frequently worked more than a mile below sea level. The photo is courtesy Reynolds Metal Company. So we got this submersible, which was located in the Bahamas at Bimini. Yeah, and just seeing this reminded me of the Titanic one that we just heard about. And like even the story about the Logitech controller for driving the thing around. Like, come on. How dumb do you think this world is? We're not like there's people like us here going like, what's going on in this world? All right. Second photo. The Illuminaut at work underwater. Its multiple uses include measurements of seismic and gravitational forces, speed and direction of subsurface currents, location of mineral deposits, salvage, and exploration and mapping of the ocean floor. And this photo is also courtesy of Reynolds Metal Company. I was just trying to study the photo to see what actually is there so I can explain it a bit. So, we got like, looks like it's on the bottom of the floor, the ocean floor, and it has this retracting arms. Something like that. You see up here. We can see the 2 arms there. This is the same object, 2 different photos. Yeah, I think we're gonna do these photos, and then we're gonna say that this is the halfway point for the part 6, and we'll continue next week with it. But yeah, we'll be out of here by 8 for sure. I just want to take my time and like absorb all this stuff with you. Because I do like giving my opinion on all this stuff, but like I also need to absorb this information and process it before I can give you more of an opinion. Does that make sense? I mean, like you guys said, hold on, I gotta check the chat again. Yeah, Jay. Yeah, I thought that was you that said that. You were mystified by Bermuda Triangle when you were 5. Yeah, like all this stuff was so cool at the time. I used to, so like I did creative writing in the late 90s, doing about the space station. Yeah, I should try to look that up. Oh, that's not that. Should I go into that? That's for another day. It's for another. Some of my earliest writings I did. It was like Attack of the Killer Balls. That's what it was called. Like Attack of the Killer Green Tomatoes or whatever. It's actually quite a cool concept, that story I wrote, but all right, we'll get back to these photos with the Bermuda Triangle. I'm just going all over the place, but don't mind me. Sunday is going to be our chill show where I can talk about everything. But Yeah, Attack of the Killer Balls. That story also involved people being put inside of a video game. And then somehow the International Space Station was attached to that story as well. I don't know what I was thinking when I wrote that. But yeah, so we're going to talk about my film work at some point, and I think I'll develop a show just based on showing my work, just so it's a little more organized. Because then we can sit here and review stuff and going back and forth. Thank you, Jay. Yeah, yeah, the Coral Castle stuff's amazing. Like I'm still very actively interested in it, and this is not feeling like a chore to me. I experience burnout from time to time. I'm working on my eBay store. I'm putting all of these videos up on YouTube. I'm getting scam job interview requests. Like I'm not even interviewing for jobs right now because I'm working full time on the eBay store, and I'm getting these scammers coming in my emails and my phone, text, crypto scams, people thinking I like accounts I don't even have. They're saying like I'm locked out of. Just be careful with all that stuff, guys. Gotta be careful with all that data. All right, so let's get back to Bermuda Triangle. Yeah, this note taking stuff. So what I'm gonna do with these series too, by the way, I'm not just running through it all. I am going to go back and look at these parts and take extra notes off of what I've been presenting here live, and we're going to double back on it, and we're going to start addressing other things that I said I want to jump back to later. That way, everything's accountable. We can get into this stuff and have some real intellectual conversations about this stuff. Because, like, I have questions. All right? Like, I got some rock that I want to move. I got like 10 tons of rock I want to move. Give me your cones, Ed. Could that have been all he did? Man. I just want to know if Homestead, Florida has the ley lines that also connect to the Bermuda Triangle. Like if it just lays on an angle, like on an angle. Let's see, on an angle. What would this be? Be like Homestead in Miami, and then into the sea, and then the Bahamas, and then the Triangle. I don't know. If the ley line is sitting like this, then that's why if Ed's able to experience the same anomalies that are in the Bermuda Triangle, that's kind of what I'm getting at here. Like the ley lines are opening the opportunity for magnetics to be used in a way that is not known to conventional science. And audible sound has something to do with adjusting the weight or mass of an object. It may have nothing to do with gravity, which is something I'm very solidly behind. Because you could take a piece of lead, cast it into the size of this lemon seed, and that piece of lead would be so much heavier, even though they take up the same amount of space. Yeah, mass and gravity is going to be a whole different topic. I'm not ready to jump all into that yet. That's why we're doing our prepping here with all of this. But let's show you more photographs, all right? I got a spread of four photos to show. So let's get that out of the way right now. So I think we'll get through these photos, and then we'll read a paragraph or two, and then we are calling it for today. But yeah, this is good stuff. So first photo, water spout photographed on a clear day off North Bimini, Occasionally, several spouts occur at the same time, and while they are noticeable in daylight, they might not be seen by night flying planes. So this is exactly what I just read. But you can see there's like the water spout there. Looks like it's right up on the beach. And then it looks like there might be another one right there. So I guess they're just showing that to say, like, well, maybe they're mistaking the water spouts as something that they're seeing that they're getting freaked out about. Oh, okay, whatever. Okay, so second photograph on this page. Moselle Reef, a location where many unidentified lights at night, visits by UFOs, and malfunction of equipment have been reported. The dark area at the top of the photograph is the drop-off to the abysmal deep. In this vicinity, a sharp pinnacle rises a sheer 3,000 feet from the bottom, but does not quite break the surface. I love how these things just get glossed over. Are they saying that there's a pillar? There is a pillar in these waters. That sits on the ocean floor and has a height of 3,000 feet. And it does not touch the surface of the water. A sharp pinnacle. What, or a building? I like how this stuff's just randomly inserted here. Like, oh yeah, by the way, there's like this 3,000 foot tall spear, just it's a spike and it's just sitting on the ocean floor. Anyways, let's continue on. Like, that's the way this book is going. All right, I hope I'm not clipping out on my audio. I've been getting a little louder and I see the clipping happening. Just let me know. Let me know in the comments. I think I'm okay though. All right, so third photograph. It says aerial view of white waters as seen off Orange Key. The luminous white waters of the Bahamas and the Sargasso Sea have been a mystery ever since Columbus first observed them the night before his first landfall. The astronauts of Apollo 12 also observed them as the last lights visible from the Earth. Well, if they went up into orbit only, then that kind of makes sense that they would see the ocean. Photo is by J.M. Valentine. So I don't know what the scale of what we're looking at here is. This does look like an aerial shot from the sky looking at these waters. It looks like streaks of what. So we covered the white waters in this already. That would be its own thing to go into also, is white waters and what causes it. Alright, and the fourth photo on this page says drop off at the edge of southwest section of the Bahama Banks. The area covered by this aerial photograph is all underwater. The land-like formations in the upper part of the picture are merely bottom features in shallow water toward the edge of the bank. The bank not only drops perpendicularly into the abyss, but seems to curl slightly beneath itself, as is evidenced by this photograph taken when conditions were usually clear. It's like, I think I know what I'm looking at, but I'm not sure if I'm 100% in what I'm seeing here. I'm going to take a closer look myself here. So I guess basically all this is underwater, But then this is a drop. Like there's no, it's just a big hole. Just a big hole of water. Awesome, Jay. Thank you. Good to know that the audio's all right. So next, all right, we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 pictures left for this chapter. So next, we got Sister Ship of the Good News, Captain Don Henry's 160-foot diesel-powered ocean-going tug reported to have engaged in a, quote, tug of war, end quote, with unknown forces while pulling a barge in the tongue of the ocean. The Good News encountered unusual magnetic aberrations and electronic drain at the time of the incident, during which the barge temporarily disappeared within a thick haze. Photo by J.M. Valentine. So yet another example of electronics malfunctioning, disappearing in a haze. The tug of war with unusual forces. Crazy. All right. Next, it says illustration contained within former Air Force Regulation 80-17 with space indicated for viewer to fill in location and path of UFO he has allegedly seen. So that's kind of cool. So if you reported you saw something, oh, this is awesome. I like this photo. Let's get this into focus. Come on now. They're basically saying, like, where did you see this object? Point it in the sky where it was on this diagram here. I don't know if I could even read that because it's so small. And it's also not focusing in. Yeah. You know, if I could find this online, I will, and then we could look at it here together. Because I can't read that. That is just way too small on the print. But this would be what they would give witnesses. To be like, okay, what direction were you and where was the object? So, like, you get the overhead here. Like, probably plotting points. Plot your location, plot the UFO's location, and then also here it'll be like plot the location you saw it in the sky or if it was on the side. That's what I'm assuming that is there, which is kind of awesome. I didn't think they'd have that in this book. Alright, so next we got colossal water-worn limestone statue within the Lotun Caverns, Yucatan, Mexico, now several hundred feet above sea level. These enormous caverns, still incompletely explored, contain titanic statues. Not the ship, just the word. Titanic statues of immense age, totally unrelated to other Amerindian culture patterns. I'm reading words I have not seen. What is this? American Indian. Just write American Indian. Why try to make new words? All right. Oceanic fauna embedded within the folds of these statues indicate that the statues made above water were submerged for a considerable period of time and perhaps resurfaced at the time that the Bahama Banks and the other Atlantic islands sank below sea level. And the photos by J.M. Valentine. So, like, I don't even know what to look at here. This just looks like a big old rock to me. Thank you, Jay. Yeah, I just have some, like, peaking that happens sometimes, but I guess you guys don't hear it on that side. It's good. I'm glad. Must be some, like, limiters or something that's helping that not, like, crack. Because the worst thing is I have the audio crack. So it says that there was basically ocean life embedded into this limestone, which is inside of a cave that's, does it say? Several hundred feet above sea level. Several hundred feet below, several hundred feet above sea level in a cave in a crack of limestone is a fish. That's basically what they're saying, that they're finding sea life in high altitudes in caves of Mexico. It's got me thinking for sure. Okay, we have 6 photos left. The next one is a full-page spread. It says, the first photograph of the Bimini Wall taken from several feet above sea level. The clarity of the water permitting a clear view of the artifact at a depth of several fathoms. It is considered probable that this structure was not noticed previously since it was covered by the sea bottom, but that storms or tectonic stresses may have occasioned its recent discovery in 1968. J.M. Valentine. So, this is kind of difficult to see in black and white. I want to say this is a wall. This is the wall here. So this is like looking down at the sea, above sea level, and here's the wall. Just barely under the surface. And that's that Bimini Wall. So next photo is view of Bimini Wall showing passage or trench running down the middle of the construction. The regularity of this trench being still another indication that the structure is man-made. Photo J.M. Valentine. So here we got a guy. Looks like he's just diving. He's looking at the wall there. Structure was man-made. Means the waters were not there when it was built. Alright, next photo. It says diver investigating channel running between sections of Bimini Wall. Shape and placement of these monoliths, right angle corners, and pillars underneath some of the stones are conclusive, though not yet universally accepted proof that they are man-made. Photo J.M. Valentine. And you know, these underwater cameras, crazy amount of equipment. Like putting a housing on these things to keep it airtight. And then not only that, but going down there with film cameras. Wasn't that easy doing that back then. Alright, so we got 3 left. Got 3 photos left. I wish there was a better break point. Yeah, because I got 20 pages after this. So that's why I'm saying we're going to just do another show next week, finishing up Chapter 6. Because otherwise we'd be here for like 3 hours. I don't want that. I got other stuff to do today. So, but it's all good. Hey, I'm making my time here for you guys. I want to do this for all you. And I enjoy doing it. So. Next photo, we have close-up of large monoliths comprising Bimini Wall. Other similar formations may be under the bottom sand, indicated only by unnaturally straight lines of bottom growth patterns. So here we are again talking about monoliths. So you could liken these to like the rock walls at Coral Castle. And how are they placed into position like this being that big? Alright, next photo. It says aerial photograph through the water of sea bottom south of Bimini. The great square shape in the right hand corner is thought to be the remains of a prehistoric dock or temple platform, now underneath the bottom, but affecting bottom vegetation, which reflects its rectilinear lines. Alright, I'm just trying to understand what I'm looking at here. So we got this photograph we're talking about. I'm guessing this black portion would be the dock. If it's a dock. And it's on the seabed. A dock on the seabed. South of Bimini. And I'm sure it's not that far down, since we have photos of people diving down there, so it's safe. It's not too far down. Alright, and the last photo on this chapter, this section, air view of drop-off east of Cay Lobos, Bahamas. The dark water is the old Bahama Channel north of Cuba. The light-colored area in the right side of the photograph is also underwater, but part of the Bahama Banks. The lines in the lower right-hand section indicate underwater remains, which may have been part of a wall or road overlooking the sea millennia ago when the Bahama Banks were above water. Just trying to make sure I can explain this here. So the lighter portion is the Bahama Banks. Darker portion is the old Bahama Channel. Again, this is basically deeper, and that's why it's so dark. I'm trying to find a good cutoff point here. See, with this content, there's days where it's easy to digest. There's other days where it's just so dense. Yeah, we can't get through 20 pages in a day. And plus, if we bring up stuff and we start going over things, if we get sidetracked, we start talking about other stuff, then yeah, it's going to take a while to get through. But it's alright. Okay, I'm just going to go with reading one more paragraph, and then I'm going to call it, and then we will pick up next week on this. So, attachment 1 to the above regulation, and that was SAFOI, right? That whole thing. Attachment 1 to the above regulation is, in effect, a checklist question worksheet of about half a dozen pages containing diagrams, questions, and suggested answers to assist exact and classified reporting of UFOs. Question number 13, for example, requests the person reporting back to check with a yes, no, or unknown, one of several possibilities concerning the action of the alleged UFO he had seen. The questions are phrased as follows. Quote, did the phenomenon move in a straight line? Stand still at any time? Suddenly speed up and run away? Break up in parts and explode? Change color? Give off smoke? Change brightness? Change shape? Flash or flicker? Disappear and reappear? Spin like a top? Make a noise? Flutter or wobble? The question is interesting in that it reads like a resume of what viewers have reported when they saw or thought they saw flying saucers. That is everything except the little green men or other humanoids that some viewers have glimpsed inside. The Air Force, perhaps, the Air Force, perhaps the service most closely connected with UFOs, contracted with the University of Colorado to prepare a study and final report on UFOs, which was duly produced in 1968. This project, under the direction of Edward A. Condon, scientific director of the final report, Scientific Study of Unidentified Flying Objects, found, after a detailed study of a wide range of case histories, that most reports submitted were explainable one way or another, and that only a small percentage could not be explained. It was also found that the amount of time and money spent researching UFOs did not justify the scientific information obtained, with the implication that any further effort would be wasteful. Meanwhile, the UFOs continued to be sighted singly and in massed flights. Singly and in mass flights in the skies over different parts of the world and also in space. Okay, one more paragraph and then that will be it. See, I stumbled reading that next one and I said I was going to stop. I need a good cutoff point. Otherwise, we're just going to be jumping in next week being like, what are we reading again? All right, so besides the constant official denials, an obvious disadvantage to planned UFO research is the general nervous levity provoked by information media as they make reports to the public concerning UFO sightings. When reports of UFOs increased measurably in October 1973, being sighted in Louisiana, Ohio, Mississippi, Minnesota, Georgia, and Florida, and witnesses included such presumably level-headed persons as the governor of Minnesota and numerous police officers and state troopers. Sufficient public interest was generated to warrant frequent reports by the press and networks. Did you just understand what I just read here? In 1973, UFO sightings were in Louisiana, Ohio, Mississippi, Minnesota, Georgia, and Florida. And that the governor of Minnesota also experienced seeing a UFO. In this instance, CBS Radio offered its listeners a fairly detailed report of the sightings, but delivered it in rhyme. Another report informed the public that the Detroit police force had established a procedure for dealing with the occupants of a UFO when and if they should be taken into custody, even providing separation of sexes in the case of male and female captives. They don't reproduce. At least that's what I think. Like, typical government bloat where you just it's like a carbon copy. Yeah, let's just do the same thing we do for the humans here. Just separate them. Let's try to give them food even though it might kill them. And it says, always providing that earthly biological differences may be in effect among the hundreds of millions of potentially inhabited planets. All right. That is where we are ending today at page 98 on chapter 6. Holy moly. I don't know how we're doing this, but we are doing this. We're getting through it one way or another. So, time, space, warps, and other worlds. That is the chapter that stands out to me so far. And that's the one that we are on. Next, chapter 7, a suggestion from the ocean's past. That is also going to be well, that's not going to be that bad. It's going to be one of the shorter ones. Then chapter 8, the surprises of prehistory. 135. Or page 135. And then chapter 9, the Watchers, Protectors, Raiders, or Indifferent Observers. So we are almost finished with this. We're going to be 2/3 of the way through by the end of next week's show. And until then, that's going to be it. So tomorrow's Friday. Day after that is Saturday. And Saturday is part 3 of the Chicago film industry deep dive. And something that I need to share with all you here is I have been having problems with my editing program that I can't even boot it up right now. And it's been like that for 3 weeks. And I have not had a situation like this in a very long time. I actually can't recall the last time it's been this long that I've been away from being able to use an editing program, but here I am, 3 weeks. I'm going to have to restart my computer because I deleted everything that I needed to out of the hard. I had to go into like the system administrator stuff and delete stuff. But I'm going to restart the computer tonight. I'm going to reinstall DaVinci Resolve, and hopefully it will boot up the project files. Because otherwise, if I can't get DaVinci running, that's where I made the intro for the Chicago film industry deep dive series. I will have to go back in and re-edit that entire damn thing. And I don't want to do that because it's going to be like 2-3 hours just to do that. But if I have to, then that is what I will do. But yeah, expect Saturday, part 3 of the Chicago film industry deep dive. Hopefully we'll be on at 11. I've been seeing some other channels go on at 5 minutes past the hour. So like they have it planned for like 4:05 p.m. So that's why I did today at 6:05 p.m. And I'm not sure what difference it's making really, because this thing, OBS is telling me no viewers. So Jay, if you're watching and it's telling me no viewers, then this is definitely lying. YouTube showing me 1 watching now. Jay, you're the best. I'm glad that this is all like it's synchronizing. We got stuff happening where we got the super chats going. We have the consistent shows week to week. You know, when I was interviewing Althouse, it was like 1 interview for the entire month, and then 3 weeks, 4 weeks, and nothing. Sometimes 5 weeks with no show. But I'd always come back with the next one, even if we had to have a little gap of time. And yeah, it's just unfortunate now. It's just like I will explain everything on Sunday, okay? That's what I'll do. Because I can't just keep on letting other topics bleed into these deep dives. I got to separate them. Sunday will be a channel breakdown show of everything. We're just going to have a nice, different type of variety show, not Madness Hour. Madness Hour is its own show, and that's sporadic. It's here and there. But, yeah, expect to be here next week, Thursday. We're going to finish Chapter 6 here with the Bermuda Triangle. That's going to be good. And, yeah, Saturday will be Flickering Empire. We're going to continue that book. And then Tuesday is part 10 of the Ed Leedskalnin and the Coral Castle Deep Dive series. And we will be reading about Coral Castle in that paper that we're getting through. It's coming up on the next pages we're about to read. So that is it. I have everything for the most part planned to go forward as scheduled. Just keep a lookout for the placeholder video for Saturday. I guess if I'm going on Sunday, I'm just going to do a live stream just to talk about whatever on Sunday. I just get... I see the view counts just sitting at 1. Like, this is supposed to demoralize me. But I'm going to keep going. I got 3 shows going. I got Sunday, which is going to be a recap of what I've been doing behind the scenes here. Because I've been doing a lot of stuff with the video content, getting this all out to different platforms. Trying to organize how I am presenting new information on the Matrix. Like, it's just going to continually snowball. But at least it's keeping me busy with all this, right? I like doing this here with you guys. And I want to get to the bottom of it. I want to get to the truth of what is going on in Hollywood. And we know something's going on. I will not stand here and say that 100% of what Tom Althouse said was false. I'm not going to be saying that. There's elements of truth in everything. That's all I'll say for now on that. But what else is going on? Oh, so this weekend so we have these Coral Castle deep dive extra books that were recommended in the one book we're reading now. We're going to get those books. We're going to go through those here too. One of them is by David Childress, who I don't know if he still believes the same stuff he wrote about 40 years ago. But I guess we're going to find out. Right now, David Childress is at a convention in L.A. that Tom Althouse is going to. He's attending with Carrie Cassidy, and that's this weekend. And Carrie Cassidy is known for being unreliable. That's all I could say. So, seeing David Childress there, and then having that connected to the Coral Castle extended reading stuff, kind of put me in a conundrum. But what we are going to do... we're going to get one of the books that's not the Childress book. We're going to probably do the Childress book after the other one. Let's see here. I do have both of them up. We got The Energy Grid by Bruce Cathy. So we're going to get that one. And we're going to read through it here. So actually, yeah, this weekend I'll probably pick that up. And then David Hatcher Childress, Anti-Gravity and the World Grid. Like, we have to read this stuff. It's connected to the UFO stuff, but there's a UFO conference going on in Los Angeles this weekend, and Tom Althouse is there. Why is he at a UFO conference is what I'm asking. That's all I want to know. Come on. Why are you there? What are you doing there? David Childress, Anti-Gravity and the World Grid. We're going to read through that book on the Coral Castle show. But what I'm trying to say here is that book was written in 1987. And we are now in the year 2025. This author of this Anti-Gravity and the World Grid book is still alive. and is still going to conferences and speaking. And I don't know what he is talking about lately, but he was on the Ancient Alien stuff with History Channel. So I view that as a whole disinformation campaign. But then we also have John B. Wells, who does History Channel narrations. Like I said earlier, there's truth in everything. So even if there's disinfo going out with the Ancient Aliens, which there's a lot of disinfo in the Ancient Alien series, we have to be careful with who we associate with on these deep dives here. Like, we're getting into everything, but the point is, we have this David Childress book, and then somebody that just pulled the rug out from underneath us all here on this channel is now going to be appearing with this author. So, and that's this weekend. So we're going to skip over the David Childress book for right now. That'll be after the Bruce Cathy book. And the Bruce Cathy book is called The Energy Grid. So they're two grid books. We're getting into the grid stuff, which is also directly connected to the Bermuda Triangle with the energy grids. So that is that. We got the paper to go through on Tuesday. We got Saturday with the film industry in Chicago, and we have Sunday, which we will have a longer version of this ending of this show, where I'm just talking about whatever. And then what? Yeah, I already said Tuesday we got Coral Castle. Thursday we have Bermuda Triangle. Saturday we got the Chicago show. That's gonna be it for today, guys. I'm done. I could probably go a little longer, but I do have stuff to start tending to. But I appreciate you all being here. It's getting serious, guys. It's always been serious, but we have fun doing stuff here. So, until the next one.